The story of Dr. James Clark reads more like a career roller coaster than a smooth climb to medical glory. Born in Scotland in 1788, Clark initially had his sights set on law, yes, law, but apparently, arguing in a courtroom wasn't thrilling enough, so he made a sharp turn to medicine. After a decent amount of training, Dr. Clark found himself in Rome in 1820, where he crossed paths with the poet John Keats, who was desperately ill with what we now know as tuberculosis. Did Clark recognize this? Of course not. He misdiagnosed poor Keats' symptoms as emotional stress rather than an actual deadly disease. His treatment plan? Bleed him and put him on a starvation diet. It's no surprise that Keats didn't exactly improve after this brilliant strategy and died just 4 months later. Clark was criticized for failing to diagnose tuberculosis, but somehow, this tragic failure didn't sink his career. In fact, he soon found his way into the royal scene. Here's where things get weird. Despite his questionable track record, Clark had connections. Somewhere along the way, he managed to befriend Prince Leopold, later King Leopold I of Belgium, who was quite taken with Clark's skills. Let's give Leopold the benefit of the doubt here. In 1834, Leopold pulled some strings and recommended Clark as court physician to his widowed sister, the Duchess of Kent, and her daughter, the future Queen Victoria. Oh, and by the way, Leopold knighted Clark in his own Order of Leopold that same year, and upped his rank to commander by 1850. Royal connections? Check. Suddenly, Dr. James Clark's practice was booming, and his reputation skyrocketed. He was appointed Queen's Physician in Ordinary and made a baronet of St. George's, Hanover Square, London. However, George Villiers, 4th Earl of Clarendon, famously remarked that he wouldn't trust Clark to attend the sick cat. But that didn't mean he stopped making medical blunders. Enter Lady Flora Hastings in 1839, who came to Clark with abdominal swelling. He wrongly suspected she was pregnant. Spoiler, she wasn't, and shared this juicy tidbit, sparking a scandal that rocked the royal court. It wasn't until after Lady Flora's death that they realized she had a liver tumor, not a baby bump. Still, the royals stuck with Clark. In 1841, he was tasked with overseeing the health of Victoria's first child, the 14-month-old Princess Royal, when she fell ill. Prince Albert objected. Clark's mishandling of Lady Flora had already shattered his trust and ruined Queen Victoria's reputation. But, believe it or not, Clark did it again. He misdiagnosed the Princess Royal, prescribing mercury-laced medicine that only made things worse. Prince Albert was furious, and rightfully so. He even fired off a note to Victoria. Dr. Clark has mismanaged the child and poisoned her with calomel, and you have starved her. I shall have nothing more to do with it. Take the child away and do as you like, and if she dies, you will have it on your conscience. Turns out, the Princess Royal wasn't gravely ill after all, just upset about her new baby brother invading the nursery. But even after this drama, Clark's royal career wasn't over. Makes you wonder, who were his powerful allies keeping him in the game? Prince Albert himself became a victim of Clark's lackluster skills when he fell ill. In the early stages of his sickness, Clark chalked it up to stress, failing to recognize the far more serious underlying condition. Even the Prime Minister, Lord Palmerston, had doubts about Clark and suggested bringing in other doctors. But Queen Victoria stubbornly refused to change her mind, standing by Clark. By the time Albert was properly diagnosed with typhoid fever, it was too late. He died in 1861, cementing Clark's unfortunate legacy of royal medical mishaps. Despite all of this, Dr. James Clark managed to secure a high position and royal favor throughout Europe, all while leaving a trail of misdiagnoses that led to tragedy. John Keats, Lady Flora Hastings, Princess Royal, and even Prince Albert. So yes, the doctor who doomed John Keats and Queen Victoria's court might sound dramatic, but honestly, it's not far from the truth.